I hope you're familiar with the god-awful gaming content creator named Nickmercs. This guy was really big back when, like, Fortnite and COD Warzone were really big. He like, blew up during that 2018 to 2020 era of Twitch, and since then has kind of been fizzling out. Like, you can look at his numbers. They're high, sure, but they're way lower than they used to be. He's fallen off quite substantially. He was, like, a big part of, like, the ninja sphere back in the day, and he's just sort of on a falling, like, trend. And naturally, as a lot of once famous people do these days, once, like, it's over for them pretty much and they can see the end of their online career in the horizon, they pivot to grifting to the right. Which is what happened about a year ago now, when last Pride Month, anti-LGBT protesters attacked pro-LGBT demonstrators outside of Glendale, California's school board meeting, while the school board was voting on recognizing June as Pride Month. So here's the video of what happened. You can just see, like, a bunch of anti-Pride homophobes come up and start assaulting people at the Pride protest. You can see the people who have, like, the Protect Trans Kids flags, and then you can see the people who've got their shirts on and what. Like, yeah, it's pretty obvious what's happening here. This is, at the very least, it does seem like the police are stepping in to defend them. I mean, I'm not really here to talk about this protest. You got, yeah, there's the people saying, leave kids alone, leave our kids alone on the shirts. That's the anti-gay crowd. And then you've got the cops who are at least holding them back. And then you've got the Protect Trans Kids. I'm telling you, the mushmouth is real. So yeah, that video comes out. I mean, you can see what happens, right? Like, this guy with the Leave Our Kids Alone shirt runs in and just starts, like, smacking people. Yeah, and then everyone else follows. It's pretty cut and dry. And it gets quote tweeted. Someone says, "This happened 4 blocks from my Overwatch League apartment. Americans are in a sad place right now. Let people love who they love and live your own life." And it was an esports player that quote tweeted it, like, guys, what is going on in America? Why are you guys, like, fighting in the street over, like, allowing people to love who they want to love? And then Nickmercs replies, who is a member of FaZe, by the way. FaZe endorses this, in case you're wondering. The FaZe organization, which, like, I mean, fuck FaZe anyway. Like, who the fuck cares about FaZe or likes FaZe? They should leave little children alone. That's the real issue. So he pretty much indicated about a year ago he was on board with the, like, gay people are groomers train. He got pretty hard ratioed by people, of course. It was pretty funny. But people defended him really hard, saying that nothing he said there was actually transphobic. He just said leave kids alone. What's wrong with leaving the kids alone? Well, this video went viral of him just a couple days later, or a year later, I should say. A couple days ago, I should say. And you've got the conservatives who are desperate to defend it because they fully agree with what he says. You've got his fans who are trying to whitewash it and make it seem more milquetoast. And you've got the people who are calling it out for what it is. But unfortunately, this guy is going to remain one of the biggest streamers on Twitch or Kick or wherever he is until his, falling career finally piddles out, which it is. Unless, like, I don't know, he gets picked up by a big conservative org or something. I don't know. I feel like at this point, he's bound to get dropped by FaZe, like, any day, right? Like, he can't stop doing hate speech. But let's watch.
Nick, the transphobe struggling against the trans game. There's no such thing as trans people. That's something that you created. So have fun with your little dreamland. But that shit's not even real.
For those that know, Nickmercs is famous for, like, not having his camera set up properly, so, like, you just see his forehead zoomed in the entire time.
Let me break it down for you, right? Penis, dude. Vagina, girl, done. Come in here with that fucking trans... Nick.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and just give the obvious response. Trans people do in fact exist. Now, Nickmercs is sort of the definition of, like, the gamer dude bro. There are many types of misogynistic kind of right-wing gamer, you know? You've got your traditional, like, sort of dweeby, right-wing grifter chud complains about, like, women in video games types, like Grums and the Coitering and whatnot. You've got those people. But on the other end of the same coin, the other side of that same coin, you've got the dude bros. You know, before Nickmercs, it was Trainwrecks, who, while Trainwrecks is far from being a good person, he glows in comparison to Nickmercs, who I believe is also literally friends with, like, Sneako as well. Oh yeah, did you guys see? Oh, it's so good. Hold on, a little bit of a palate cleanse before we respond bit by bit to that dumbass thing here. Do you want to see Sneako get his shit rocked? So, the other day, Sneako was at, like, something, and he was antagonizing a bouncer, and the bouncer went Thanos on him. You'll know what I mean in a second.
You win people's name. Why not women's name? Get the ass out of here. Get your fucking cameras off my face. No, you're a slut. You're a whore. Okay, what are you? What are you? What are you? What are you? Fuck you. 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 Fuck you.
One of them knocked the hat off of his head, and he immediately fucking jump punches Sneako in the face. In the mouth. You can't tell because the video doesn't show where he landed the shot. On Sneako's teeth is where that punch landed.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
On Sneako's teeth. You'll see the results in a second.
We got Sneako here. He's got this busted up tooth. Smile for me, man.
I think it chipped 2 teeth. He fucking, like, you could see this is one knuckle from that guy, and this is the other knuckle. It chipped this tooth and this one. God, he got, like, a nice pizza slice taken out of his front tooth. Holy shit. Now, to be clear, Sneako's already dealing with severe head trauma from boxing, by the way. He had to stop boxing because of the head trauma, and he's since gone full Nazi. Like, Twitch also unbanned him. I feel this is a good time to talk about, like, Twitch is a really bad company. Like, can we just talk about how bad Twitch is? They kind of shine as some of the most, like, awful when it comes to their virtue signaling. Like the Womexen thing and their program they did where they brought, like, a bunch of marginalized 2-viewer Andy streamers in for, like, a press thing that lasted for 1 week, where I guess they had, like, a community thing for, like, coming off as more progressive, but that stopped being a thing entirely. Like, they clearly don't have that anymore. Well, Twitch fucking blows because they just recently, as in, like, a day or two before that happened, unbanned Sneako from Twitch. Just for no reason. They just randomly emailed Sneako like, hey, guess what? You're unbanned now. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. Sneako has been officially unbanned by Twitch as of June 11th, a week ago. And it's weird. They do this as soon as he enters his, like, everyone bad that he doesn't like is a Jew arc. Like, he's literally hanging out with Nick Fuentes and calling people Jews and shit. Like, I'm not joking. Like, he's full on he's gone full Nazi recently. Like, it's a big recent thing that's been getting talked about. And in response to this, Twitch just unbans Sneako. Just decides to unban him. Very interesting. Now, at first I thought that a relatively unique thing until I realized, wait a second, Twitch did another bizarre, weird policy change recently involving Destiny and Hassan. Now listen, I know pretty much none of you like Destiny. That's fine. purge that from your mind for now. This has nothing to do with whether or not you like Destiny. This has to do with whether or not Twitch has some sort of fuckery bias going on in its moderation and rule development team, okay? Yeah, it's best if you hate them both. Twitch changes rules for Hassan. Watch this. You'll have to endure a quick Destiny clip, but this is pretty damning. When I remembered this. This was going viral on Reddit when this first happened a couple months ago, but this was Twitch in real time updating Twitch's TOS to benefit Hassan specifically in Destiny and Hassan's feud. Watch this.
It actually triggers me so much. This actually, can't watch this. This actually super triggers me. If Twitch has a policy where they don't want banned streamers being platformed on their website because they've decided that I need to be permanently removed from the site, what they're saying is that the type of content that I provide is not something that they want on their platform, which is fine. 100%, you're allowed to do that. You have every right to do that. But if you've permabanned me and you've got that rule in place so that those people aren't being amplified, why are you displaying something that I was a huge part of, right? Why is this something that you're now allowing somebody else to display on your platform? I don't understand this. It's so triggering to me. Like, either you want my content or you don't. I don't know how you can have.
So what he's pointing out here is that Twitch has ruthlessly upheld a rule that no matter what, you are not allowed to show content from someone who's banned off the platform. And despite this, seemingly with no worry about that rule, Hassan has just always reacted and responded to Destiny stuff without a concern at all. Without any, issues either, despite Twitch being very ruthless with everyone else. So Destiny calls it out. Watch what happens a day later.
Have half of it unless you change the rules and say that you can feature banned streamers. That's pretty irritating. Because the statement from Twitch should be that, this particular banned streamer is so toxic that we don't want anything on his platform, but apparently you do. Apparently you do want this 5 or 6 hour debate on your platform. It's very irritating.
And I want to be very clear about that.
Illegitimate means you condemn them.
Illegitimate means they are not legitimate. I have
Didn't
a problem.
they ban Dylan for
Condemning
this?
your side, yes.
No, not condemning my side.
Yep, Twitch banned Dylan Burns for watching this very debate, by the way. Hassan was fine. Dylan Burns got a Twitch ban for reacting to the same thing Hassan's watching on stream.
I have a problem with selective outrage, and I have a problem with selective condemnation. And as I explained to you a few minutes ago, in my decades of appearing in public and being interviewed, I have never seen, I've never been,
condemn the Palestinians out against
more than any other region in the world. So why
the ruthless takedown? It's not even like the bone because
why not allow any policy or community guidelines will clearly go.
Oh, here it is.
Listen, if Twitch bans you, that's on them. That's their rules. I'm not trying to get anybody banned. I never told anybody to go ban anything. I just think it's weird how hypocritical Twitch is on their banning policies. It's really weird.
All right,
Today, we are making a change to our suspension evasion policy to help provide clarity around what is allowed when viewing.
This is the next day.
Content created by a suspended streamer. Moving forward, our community guidelines will allow you to discuss or react to VODs or live streams from suspended users. Wow. Hosting a suspended user directly on your stream, sharing their content verbatim without reaction or discussion commentary, or having a suspended user participate on your channel is still not allowed. The Destiny.
So, this was, the most... I'm sorry. The next day... Destiny calls out that fucking policy and points out how Hassan is deliberately breaking it. And the next day, they change their policy to allow you to react to banned streamers as long as it's critical. And you're not, outright hosting them and platforming their beliefs. So Hassan should still be in trouble because he doesn't do shit. True. But isn't it interesting how, Twitch just kind of fucking sucks? Whenever they express... or try to do something progressive, it's fucking Wemexin, which was, awful. Everyone hated it. Everyone hated the Wemexin thing, if you even remember what it was. They changed the rules to benefit Hassan, all the while welcoming Sneako, who's just started his Nick Fuentes friendship arc, back to their platform. All in the same month, by the way. God. Or the same year, my bad. The same, half a year, I should add. Man, Twitch really fucking sucks. I guess I'll get more into like breaking this down, but like I said, this guy is more on the like the dude bro gamer right-winger side of things, right? But let's break down what he says bit by bit here.
The transphobes struggling against the trans game. There's no such.
So I guess there's like a joke about Elden Ring being like a trans game because a lot of the trans community has a tendency to claim popular things. I think I've noticed it the most with New Vegas. You'll notice that like New Vegas is the most popular Fallout game probably, like culturally. Obviously 4 probably had more sales and more people played 4, but New Vegas is the culturally most loved and popular Fallout game, probably without like even a contest. And so it's very culturally impactful. Same goes for a variety of other things. And typically, because something that's very popular, you know, that means it's going to have a lot of trans people who have played it, and trans people feel like if there's something in common between all of them, it must be a trans thing. It gets labeled a trans thing. And so because Elden Ring is like the most popular game ever, like Baldur's Gate, they get called trans games, as do New Vegas, because every trans person has played them, not so much that every person who's played it becomes or is trans. And so there is a tendency for the trans community to sort of say, we own this now, you know? Like a lot of us trans people, we like this piece of media. It's the trans media now, and we will call you an egg if you like it. That kind of thing. And a lot of cis people are annoyed by it, including myself, by the way. Like, guys, if I go to a trans person and insist that they're cis, that you would literally behead me. And rightfully so. That would be very wrong if I went to a trans person, kept saying, I bet you're cis. I bet you're cis egg. Your cis egg is going to crack or some shit like that. You would absolutely behead me for that, and rightfully so. Don't do the reverse. Don't do it to other people. If you think somebody does have an egg that needs cracking, don't tell them that or whatever, because that's probably going to bother them. Like every trans person I've ever met who is like in that sort of phase of trying to figure out whether or not they're really trans, really didn't appreciate when you say, I bet you are, I bet you are, I bet you are, or especially, I bet you aren't, I bet you aren't, I bet you aren't. They usually just want to avoid the topic of conversation unless they bring it up, and then like, I don't know, I'm getting a little too deep into it, you know? But I do want to give that little public service announcement to remember what it was like when if you're a trans person who likes doing that, remember what it was like when you were figuring out your identity, and imagine what it's like to have other people comment on that, right? So if you do think someone's an egg, think about what if they are, you know? Like, what if I'm right? Because if you are, then that kind of makes you a bit of an asshole, right? Like, trying to, like, make someone out themselves if they are, in fact, LGBT. If they don't feel comfortable or ready to do that, like regardless, I know I'm getting very stun-locked on this point, but it is a common tendency, and I've meant to talk about it since I started playing New Vegas, because I've been friends with people who are now out and trans, but for a year or more, it was like only between close friends were there like not dead name and correct like pronouns used. Shut up, egg. If you like, really? Like, really? That's your response? Okay. Oh, are you a mod? Avalon of Babylon? Is that why I can't mute you? What the fuck? Why can't I mute you? I was gonna mute you for a day for that. That was like the most bizarre response to that point ever. I don't know. That said, as a trans lady, I could see how some normies would definitely be a little uncomfortable with people even jokingly assuming they're secretly trans. Yeah, for one, if you're cis, it just feels weird. Like, not bad, but it just feels weird is the best way to describe it. Like, it feels like you have a crowd of people begging and praying for you to be different, right? Like, I can't change that I am cis, and yet I can tell that you guys beg and pray and plead with the universe for me to turn out to be trans. And that kind of makes me a little sad, I guess, because, like, you know, you guys desperately wish for me to be different, I guess. Like, I know it sounds bizarre coming from a cis person, but, like, think about that for a moment. I imagine you can kind of imagine what it feels like, maybe. So it's weird for cis people. And then just as I described, it can be especially weird, I bet, for trans people. Like, if the person you describe as an egg actually is. Yeah, I can see that. I guess I can kind of splinter this off into a somewhat relevant topic. The trans community, at large, has some cultural trends and tendencies that are kind of like cringe and a little awful, you know? A big one is calling everybody an egg. Obviously, that's one. And another one is like more of just a tendency. You know how hormones, specifically for trans women, cause a second puberty? A lot of the time, this leads to you've got like 18 to 25, sometimes even 30-year-old trans women taking hormone replacement therapy and going through a second puberty. And puberty makes you the worst. Come on, admit it. We were all the worst when going through puberty as teenagers. Just the worst human beings. Like, just the worst. Like, maybe not awful people, but compared to how we are now, just the worst. You could not get along with your teenage self now if you're an adult and you're watching me. If you're a teenager now, you don't even know. Trust me, puberty makes you awful, and you literally don't think straight, right? But as an adult, a lot of trans people, particularly trans women, go through a second puberty, and I'm just gonna outright say it. It can make some trans women act like little critters, okay? It can make them a little annoying, you know, in the sort of like teenager kind of way. It makes a lot of trans people online who are full-grown adults act like teenagers. Have you noticed that? Well, just trans people in general, but at the internet, you know? Like, where it feels like 80% of the trans community are all, like, 20 to 25-year-olds who act like 13-year-olds. And it's like, ooh, that's not the best look. That's not the best cultural look, you know what I mean? Yeah, I know. I'm a cis guy, and I'm just absolutely hard-hitting criticizing the trans community right now. But you guys will have to bear it because I am trying to do some genuine commentary here. And I think that does kind of like make a lot of normies go, ooh, and become more receptive to dumb fuck ideas like what this guy is spewing. But let's dismantle more of what he has to say.
The thing is trans people.
There's no such thing as trans people. So this is the argument that fundamentally what the argument of the transphobes boils down to, that being trans isn't real. Just like back when they were rallying wholesale against gay people and bi people and lesbians, that it was not a real thing, that it was simply a choice made, a social choice, a lifestyle choice made consciously. And that, let's say if you're a transphobic parent who has a gay kid, that your gay kid is consciously choosing to A, be gay, and B, if they choose being gay over loving and being with their family and their church, they are choosing to do this maliciously. And like there's an implication there that being gay means there's so much malicious, quote unquote, choice being made that maybe they shouldn't even be regarded as a good person anymore. Which kind of goes against the love the sin, hate the or love the sinner, hate the sin like logic. But you know, when have Christians ever been consistent? And it's mostly Christians, not all, but you know, mostly. Like I'm pretty sure this guy probably has like a gold cross he wears or something. He seems like that kind of guy. And for the record, like trans people are real. Every medical and social institution in the world recognizes them. It's not like a controversial topic. Like there's this sort of assumption even by normies and even by some like more disconnected progressive people that like the topic of gender dysphoria and trans people existing is somewhat like unsettled science or still debated within the academic sphere. It's been like quite long settled. Not as long settled as like gravity by any means or like the germ theory, but it's pretty well settled science, and it's been for a while. The topic of trans people existing and having rights is a politically charged culture war issue. The opinions that a lot of people in this country have on it are not guided by the science, but instead by what side they feel they're on. For better or for worse, a lot of it is tribalistic bandwagoning. And sometimes it's for better. Like on the left, a lot of people don't truly understand why trans people are valid. They just kind of accept it. And I think that's fine. It's not best for your advocates, I guess, when it comes to like arguing against transphobia, but it's good. But then on the other end of things, you've got people who are just jumping on the transphobia bandwagons because these arguments sound pretty much right to them. They aren't going to go research what all the medical institutions, I guess, across the board believe about trans people, gender, sex, and gender dysphoria, and how to treat it.
That's something that you created.
This logic is, like, basically a lot of chuds will argue nowadays that the wokeness started in, like, 2014 or 2015 or sometimes even 2016. Like, they'll forget, they don't even, many of these chuds don't even remember or know about Gamergate, and they believe this is, like, the first time what's happening online right now has happened. Is this Nickmercs? Yes, you can tell because that is his forehead. It's actually not Nickmercs, it's his forehead that we're criticizing right now.
So have fun with your little dreamland.
Man, this guy fucking blows at Souls games. Something you find is really common about these dude bro, like, brain rot dudes who, like, you can tell they only ever play Call of Duty and sports games, is that they fucking blow at any games that require actual skill, you know? Like, they might be passably okay at first-person shooters from playing them for, like, their entire lives, but you put them into, like, a Souls game, and they like, it's like Asmongold playing Jedi Fallen Order, where he didn't know how to climb because he wouldn't read the prompt on the screen. Like, who's seen that clip? Like, this is how people like Nickmercs, like, the type of gamer he is. Oh, I need to find the clip. Asmongold can't read. This video's titled, "You're never allowed to talk shit about video game journalists again after this."
Sinking.
He does, though. He does.
Gotta move. That is a lot of tar. Be careful. Okay. So they explode.
This is embarrassing.
Good to know.
This is actually embarrassing, dude. What's about to happen?
In the heart of the digital wilderness, we find ourselves observing an extraordinary creature. This creature goes by the name of Asmongold, a renowned streamer and avid explorer of the world of Warcraft. Today we embark on a journey to witness Asmongold as he attempts to unravel the mystery of an elusive in-game quest. However, in a unique twist, Asmongold is an animal incapable of reading or understanding text-based quests. Join us as we delve into the remarkable tale of Asmongold, a creature attempting to navigate the virtual landscape without the power of comprehension. Unable to read or comprehend the instructions provided, he finds himself perpetually caught in a cycle, endlessly repeating the same task without grasping its purpose or significance.
What do I do? I don't like these. What do I do? Hold 3, then 2 towards the wall. Okay. 2. As you don't read? I don't like reading. I just want to play a game.
I get it. Like, I get that, but for fuck's sakes, man, your job is to play video games. Like, my job is to sometimes play video games to a very much smaller audience, okay? I do it for fun. It's practically like fake working. But this guy's job is to play video games on stream. Like, full-time, all the time, video games. That is crazy to me that he won't read game instructions. Jesus Christ. Like, reading the PDAs in a game is one thing. Like, those little, like, things you can pick up in Dead Space that you gotta read for lore, that's one thing. But not reading the cut off their limbs the 5 times they tell you is a whole different question altogether. So if you're wondering, like, why this guy's got nearly 500 deaths and is probably going to incur another 200 when he enters the Swan Dance portion of this fight, I haven't even played this game yet, by the way, and I know. Like, Dark Souls 3 was the last Souls game I played in the series. I really want to wait until I can play Bloodborne somehow on PC one day before I play Elden Ring, but I might have to give in and just play through Elden Ring, because I have been feeling the urge. I've been helping my buddy Ethan, well, not helping, but, like, reacting to my buddy, or watching my buddy Ethan's reaction to his first playthrough of Dark Souls 1 and being his lore guide. Like, I stop him at the statue and I'm like, yo, I can't tell you who that statue is of, but take a good long look at it. You see that spear? I just want you to look at that spear and remember it. And just look at the statue in this location. Seems significant, huh? And, you know, when we get to Dark Souls 3 and we go against the Nameless King, I'll explain, yeah, that statue was of Gwyn's son, the nameless son of Gwyn. You are now fighting him. Like that whole thing, like that's the guide I'm being for him, the lore guide. And so it's been fun. It's been fun, but I do want to play Elden Ring. Besides that, though, let's continue.
But that shit's not even real.
It's not even real. You guys made up trans people.
Let me break it down for you, right? Penis, dude. Vagina, girl.
So, if we actually care about science, hey, Evie Gretel, if we actually care at all about science here, the actual scientific consensus on biological sex is that it is a bimodal distribution spectrum. On one end of it, you have masculine characteristics, and on the other, you have feminine. And the reason we break it down this way is because over time, we've come to accept that naturally, not due to any human intervention, mind you, but naturally, there are occurring outliers between male and female. There are many cases in which people are born and they don't just have a penis and testicles or a vagina and a uterus and like egg production and stuff. And I'm not talking about like quote unquote defects where people like don't have the capability of bearing children or something. I'm talking about people who are used to be referred to as intersex, but because there's so many different varieties of intersex, we basically just refer to it with the most broad umbrella possible of differences in sexual development, because these can occur and bear themselves at any point in a person's life. I love the story of the guy who's just like a cis dude, that is to say, was like, has always been a guy his whole life since he was born. And you would look at him and be like, that's a guy. He was having some issues with his stomach, like some kind, I don't know, like constipation or something. And he went to the doctor and got an ultrasound so they could see what's going on in his guts. And they look at the ultrasound and they're like, sir, you have a uterus. And he's like, what? You know, like, because this guy's got a dick and balls, and he always has, and he's always been a guy, and has a deep voice, and, you know, he's just a guy. And it turns out he's got a uterus inside of him. Just a full-on uterus, along with male reproductive system. And then some cases, people have a penis and a vagina, and, like, all sorts of... There's so many different cases here. So the fact is that for science to accurately describe the world in which we live, it had to, a long time ago, this wasn't a recent thing, adjust itself. The knowledge we have, science is just the body of knowledge that we have, and the procedures we go about confirming and validating its validity. We updated this knowledge a long time ago, this wasn't recent, to include people with differences in sexual development. And because of that, we don't break it down to penis male, vagina female, and we haven't for a very long time. In fact, the last time they'll have told you that is how we break it down in school would have been like first grade. Like, I'm pretty sure even in most conservative high schools, they teach like the fact that intersex people exist. I learned that intersex people exist. And I did high school in Florida. I went to school in Florida where they taught me the Civil War was about states' rights when I was in elementary school. And I told my mom that when I got home, and she was like, what? No, hold on. You know, like even then, like this guy's literally operating off of first grader biology. Like when they literally have to break it down to the most simple possible way to explain to like actual pre-first graders maybe.
Done. Come in here with that fucking Nick the transphobe.
One thing you'll notice is there's not really arguments to people like this. It's just sort of like changing the tone of voice to this sort of like, oh man, you think you disagree with me? What are you, a fucking idiot? Get out of here with that L, bro. It's basically Sneako levels of logic. There's no arguments. It's just like drooling and pretending to be too dumb to or just being too dumb to understand that you're wrong, and being confidently dumb enough that people just kind of follow your confidence, I guess. Yeah, this is bro talking until people think you're right, I suppose. Yeah. It's some real low IQ shit. Real low IQ shit indeed. Anyway, If you enjoyed what I had to say about the absolute awful state of streamers right now, consider dropping a like. I really do appreciate it. Subscribe and ring the bell icon if you haven't already, and maybe even consider following my social medias linked down below, because it really does help the channel a lot. And don't forget, you can also follow my Discord server. It's completely free. I do watch parties, call-in streams, and host game events in there, as well as announcing all my new uploads and streams. So if you want to see all those things, make sure to join my Discord and have notifications on. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a good one.